the 4 laws that we find about the database, the 4 steps that we go through. The first 2 are build a database and feed it every day. That's the step that we're on. So build a database, feed it every day, communicate in a systematic way, and then service all the leads that come your way. Let's talk about the build a database and feed your database. The building we've talked about is having that central location where your contacts are. I'm going to share with you a little story. My father was in sales. My father also smoked at the time, and he would meet somebody and he would put their information either on business cards. I think this was even before sticky notes. So he would write information on matchbook covers. On the inside of a matchbook cover, he would put somebody's name. And then about once a month, he would have me go out to the car and collect the different matchbooks that he had and bring those in. And I usually could tell, now that I reflect back on it, that he was behind on his sales quota because he was having me collect the information so that he could go through it, write it down on a yellow legal pad, and he was putting together his call list for the next day. You could argue that that was a system, yet it really doesn't sound very effective, does it? So that's why we build that central location. We feed it. We purposefully look at how many contacts do we have today and how many more contacts did we grow our database over the course of the month. That's a way that you can start to hold yourself accountable as well. Communicate with your database and service all the leads that come your way. So now that you've seen that, are there some ahas that you've come up with? Again, write them in the comments if you need. Pause this. Have you really ever stopped and thought about that you're not only in the business of real estate, but you're in the business of building a database? As we go into building your database, we're going to talk about step 1. At a minimum, you need to have their name and their contact information. I like to say I want their name, email, phone number. And if I write that out, I have N, a @ sign, and a hashtag. It would be NAH if you kind of looked at it. And for me, creatively, I like to look at that to say they don't count unless I have that information. If I've connected with somebody on social media and I don't have their phone number, I don't have their email, I cannot contact them in a TCPA compliant manner to be able to be in touch with them. So I want to have their name, their contact information, and any past contacts or past business that I've done with them. Other information that you can gather that will grow over the period of time that will help you in strengthening your relationship is information that you find out through your Ford discussions that you have about the family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So these are details that'll come out regarding birthdays. They will regarding anniversaries that they have, anniversaries as a couple or partnership, anniversaries that come from living in the area or with the home. Do they actually own or rent? That would be information that they've come through. Other answers that you've gotten from Ford and their connections to other people within your database. Are they a cousin of somebody? Are they an uncle? What is their connection? This is information that you would want to continue to have and put into the system. So when you build that database, you're going to add a contact, the second tab down right here that looks like a little profile picture. You're going to click on that, and then there will be the option to add a contact. If we take a look at this particular contact that they've added in here, they've marked this individual as a lead. They do not have them associated with a neighborhood because they have not captured their address yet. They have a phone number, a email address. They let us know. We have information here as to where did they find the lead source and details that go in here. Then they also can see that they put them into a smart plan and that there are communications that went through here. Right now, this is a test, but it would have the details in there. So you have the ability to enter the contacts manually, to type in each contact one by one. If you're a little bit more comfortable with technology, on the main contacts button in the upper right hand corner, you have the ability to import. Command has given you a template for you to be able to put your contacts in and import them. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, if you need some assistance and help on this, contact your market center tech trainer. Sometimes they're referred to as your MCTT, and that individual will either help you or point you in the right direction to get you the details of this, and that will help you get the information in there. So that's a way for you to accelerate your ability to build your data bank and to be able to go through the details of this. So now that we've built our data bank, now that we've gone through the information, we talked about that also on command, there are some classes, additional classes that you can take. If you also want to, you're on YouTube. I myself would subscribe to and I would follow the KW Command 66-day challenge. This is a tool that will walk you through for 66 straight days a specific part of command and help you out every step of the way. So now that we have this information, we're going to start to build our database and feed it. Now we're on the feed your database. And the way in which we feed your database is by going through and doing prospecting and marketing. The law about adding people to your database, as we discussed yesterday, is first you add all the people that you know, your sphere of influence, and the people that you might encounter on a regular basis. Then you start to add the business associates that you have, the other folks that are not in your direct sphere, but maybe a level out from this. So you're really going to be talking about your dentist, your child's teacher, your coworkers, people that you know in the neighborhood. I like to use an acronym for myself that would be I'm going to enter my friends. The acronym is FRANK, FRANK. My friends, my relatives, my acquaintances that are one level out from it, my neighbors or network that I have. So those business associates, the network that I have. And then the K is kind of a reminder for kids. And because you'll know maybe the kids' names, but do you really know the parents' names? Because the kids aren't likely to buy or sell a home, yet their parents, you will know the information. As a pet owner, there are individuals that I have found that I know their pet's name, and I have to be purposeful about finding out their name. So that's where Frank can come in by me listing out my friends, my relatives, my acquaintances, my neighborhood or network, and then my kids/pets and their names that go into there. When we feed our database and when we go through prospecting, in the level of prospecting, what we're really talking about is actively seeking leads and new relationships through conversations. Right now, as a new agent, you probably do not have a lot of money to be spending on marketing, and prospecting is a cost-effective way that you're able to directly hear if and when somebody is able, ready, and willing to do business and buy a seller home. Marketing tends to be a passive pathway to feeding your database. Say that 5 times fast. You are putting information out in print or via social media, and you're waiting for these individuals to contact you, for the leads to contact you. A good business is prospecting based, marketing enhanced. If you are a millionaire real estate agent, your team and yourself are always going to be prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Word of warning comes from experience. You're going to hear the shiny object on, let's say, the MREA podcast about an agent that is doing some sort of way to generate leads and to market. Their database and their prospecting is the part that you don't hear about, yet it is still going on. Either they themselves or somebody on their team is constantly in contact with and staying in contact with their database. See, your database can accomplish economically by asking everyone you know who they know and who else that you might be able to benefit with your services or might have an immediate real estate need. This is the client and referral loop where we are looking for new, repeat referral that we put back up into our database. And again, the bald guy saying this, but you wash, rinse, repeat every single day, week, month, year of your real estate career. New business comes when someone in your sphere begins thinking about buying or selling real estate and they think of you. Repeat business comes from clients that you've helped in the past who were so pleased with your service and you stayed in contact with them that they ask for your assistance again. And referral business comes from your sphere of influence and from clients that have used you before, know of your services and or know of you and refer you to someone else to be able to assist. Who can your sphere refer you to? Who are they going to refer you to? Well, it could be that they're going to refer you to their neighbors that they know about information. They could be referring you to their particular children or relatives. Well, my aunt needs help. Friends, coworkers. You need to be actively asking for referrals, explaining how to give you a referral. Do you want them to just give your card out? Or are you going to actually teach them to give you the information so that you can put them in your data bank and get their name, email, phone number, and other pertinent information so that you can proactively reach out to the individual, introduce yourself, and be able to make a contact? I did a referral yesterday where I did that information. I also did a communication where I did an introduction between the two individuals that I was referring, and then that way I stayed in the loop. They're in my data bank and I can continue to follow up with them. I'm also going to get the information from the person doing the referral. What's important to them? What is any background information? And then I'm going to thank the person that gave me the referral. That might be in the form of a small nominal Starbucks card, a gift card, a scratch off ticket, just a thank you of keeping them in there, an invite then to my future, a VIP invite to one of my future client events. Those are some of the steps that I can take. We're wanting to build this up in such a way, and I know this is difficult when you are first getting up and running, but what we're looking towards, the GPS location that we're setting, the someday goal that we're working back to, is making sure that we have a level of testimonials and reviews that are positive. We want to encourage the people you know to write a testimonial about you. But Robert, they haven't bought or sold a home for me. If they know that you are trustworthy, if they've worked with you in another career, in another situation, they can start putting together a testimonial for you that you would be able to use. Hey, Sally is a great manager. I've seen her handle many situations under stress, and she always comes through in a pinch. So, those are some ways that you can work on also building your footprint and building out referrals to be able to go through. You could have an item of value that you send out. Somebody could review that item of value, that market report that they saw, the effects of a decision on the economy, and here's your take on it. It could be a video that you do, and then you be able to get referrals and reviews off of that particular video that could then lead to referrals. So you get reviews that would lead to the future business. So those are some ways that you can look about feeding your database and being able to go through the steps of it. Another key to this is making sure that when you are getting this information, that you're just not collecting information, that you're not just sitting there as, shall we say, a bottom feeder of just trying to collect information. When you get that information, you need to treat that referral, you need to treat that contact like gold. And so, ways in which you could do that is through your business or customer service. You could provide information, and when you get that lead, you need to be responsive. You need to have alertness, and these are all areas that someone could give you a review on, even though you have not sold a home with them. They can talk about your attention to detail. They can talk about your professionalism. They can talk about your empathy and how you are there for your friends, there for your coworkers, there for the folks that are in your sphere of influence. They can talk about your clear communication. You're already planting seeds that will help you moving forward. Let's quote Gary again. To succeed at a high level in real estate sales, you must commit to frequent contact with your database with the intent of building close relationships. So the quote says you must commit to frequent contact. How long must you commit to building a relationship? So when we communicate with this in a systematic way, the way you communicate with your database will determine whether or not it turns into a lead or contact, or whether it is a lead or contact. We're focusing our attention on relationship building and strengthening our relationships with our contacts, our sphere, and those we have permission to have two-way communications with. As you establish and build your relationships and learn more about a person's motivations, dreams, interests, goals, you'll categorize them, you'll segment them. Are they looking to buy? Are they looking to sell? Are they 1 month, 3 months, 6 months? What is their time frame to be able to go through this? In your participant guide, you have a section about communicating systematically. And so what are some segments or categories that you might already naturally have in your database? An easy one is, are they a homeowner versus a renter? Do they have children versus being an empty nester? Those are some ways in which you can help identify. Doesn't mean that we're going to give them a different level of service. We're going to be in compliance with fair housing laws as well. It just allows you to have some of that information to be able to cater your services with them in a certain way. Here's some examples. Are they a VIP? Do they play golf? Are they a VIP from the standpoint of they've been providing you with referrals, or they are in a particular club that you belong to, and therefore you are looking at this? Are they a former military or currently serving in the military? Are they an investor? Are they a referral that you got from somebody else Are they a dog lover? Those are some ways in which you can go through and identify specific hobbies that they might have a different interest, and those are ways that you can put those in. You see, these segments become tags within your KW command, so that if you did have a presentation, let's say that's being done by a VA lender in your market center or in your area, everybody that you had tagged as a veteran or military or of that particular interest, they would be somebody that you could then invite them to the presentation because they would have interest with that. And so those are some ways that it will help you to systematically communicate versus just taking what might be considered a shotgun approach of giving them information that could be considered spam. So by communicating through this, you also could start to have your messaging in such a way that, yes, you are putting out a shotgun approach, but you realize that you live in a golf course community, and therefore you're going to have a review of golf courses, and you could have it per neighborhood or for the overall area. Don't overthink this, yet these are ways in which you can segment your database and be able to go through the details. You could also have particular market stats that were interesting for investors. Are folks moving into the area? Are they moving out of the area? Or you could share information about, they use an example of low-cost vaccination sites or ways in which there is a dog rally for people to get together for other dog lovers. These are things that you're on the lookout for based upon your database and being able to communicate with them in a systematic way. So let's dive into this a little bit more. In the book, the red book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, communications have stepped up, and they've stepped up from the standpoint of the number of touches that we need to do. So they divide this up into your leads and your contacts. With your leads, you're going to be shooting for a minimum of 19 touches per year, and it gives you some information there. Your 4 touches of a quarterly phone call. Your 12 touches being that monthly email newsletter, a market report, a video that would cover the different segments that you have in your database. A couple promotional direct touches that you might make as to a printed report, a pop by, something that you would do along that line, and then inviting them to your annual event, movie screening where you work with a movie theater and there's a new movie coming out, and the day before it's available, or you reserve one of the sessions and then have your folks come to that particular event. They indicate this as one touch. The beauty of events is events allow you to do multiple touches and multiple communications all around one event. Doing your one touch to cement is a high value touch that solidifies your relationship that you have just established, or it opens the door. This is the key and the pathway to all of the other contacts. And then we have a 36 to convert, and the 36 touch program really is broken down by the telephone calls, the biweekly informational that you're sending, a couple events that you have over the course of the year, and then promotional direct contact information that goes through. So some other ways to brainstorm, some other items to look at this is to look at, does your area have local events? Do they have festivals? Plan ahead. Look at next year's Strawberry Festival. Look at next year's harvest time. Are you going to have a table or booth at that? It's not the time to start advertising that you're going to be there the week before. It's great to do something like that the year before or 6 months before. So, what is going on with your local points of interest, your chamber of commerce? How about with your preferred vendors? Is there something that they're doing that you could partner together with or piggyback? A lot of states have homestead exemptions. That would be, or tax assessment timeframes. This would be a great time for you to be able to provide value, that you're doing reviews, that you're able to help people if they wanted to make an appeal. These could be put together through a smart touches and smart plans in your command system that you would be able to systematically follow up and follow through with these individuals. So we're taking our database, we're turning it into a smart database like your smartphone and information that you have, and then we're going to transition them into the data bank of having the information in there. Do you see how a database becomes your data bank when you constantly communicate with it and make valuable deposits to this data bank? People are more likely to remember you when it comes time with real estate. They are going to reach out to you when they have a need or somebody that they know has the need. This is how people choose to do business with others. It's been timeless. We've talked about it in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and it still pertains even more so today in the way that the numbers have trended with Gary Keller's family reunion report, where he lays out the survey of buyers and sellers from the National Association of Realtors. Individuals do business with people that they like, know, and trust. If you've never made the deposit, you cannot expect to get a return.